I'd like to call to order the September 15th meeting of the Johnston County Board of Commissioners and welcome all of you who are here tonight. Thank you for coming. Also want to welcome those who are watching us on live stream. Welcome to you as well. As is customary for us, we will begin with invocation. I've asked Commissioner Godwin to lead us in that, and then we'll follow that with the pledge, and I've asked Commissioner Stovall to lead us in that. But before we get there, I did want to mention our 6 board priorities. They are educational funding, infrastructure, financial stewardship, land use, public safety, and our county employees. With that, if you choose so, please stand now for the invocation.
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you, Lord, for the blessings of this day, for the blessings of this time of year. We pray, Lord, that you'll give our farmers a good harvest, that you bring some rain to Johnston County if it's in your will. As we come together tonight, Lord, we pray for unity, not only in our county and state, but throughout our nation, that we all might be of one accord and more tolerant of each other and differences of opinions. We ask for guidance tonight, courage and strength and wisdom to make good, sound decisions for Johnston County. Forgive us our shortcomings, for it's in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
All right, place the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first item on the agenda is approval of tonight's agenda. Everybody's had a chance to look at that. Is there any need to change that, or I hear a motion to approve the agenda as is?
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. The next item is the consent agenda. We have 5 items on that tonight. We have approval of our August 18th meeting, minutes from that. The town of Benson has an appointment to their Board of Adjustment. We have an appointment to the Hospital Authority Board. Building and Grounds has a request to proceed with design services for courtroom upfit. And finally, we have a request to move funds from Emergency Telephone System Fund from our 911 Communications Department. Are there any item on there that we need to have withdrawn for further discussion? I hear a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Anything else? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The consent agenda is approved. All right. Okay, I was going to say, not that anybody here is not Miss North Carolina quality. I just wanted to make sure. I was looking for a crown. All right, so we will have Miss North Carolina team Kate Ward come to address us. The teen part disqualified.
Hello, guys. How
Hello,
are you?
hello.
Hello.
So I just kind of set this up to be able to kind of just come and speak to you guys. I represented Johnston County at the Miss North Carolina Teen Competition in June, and I had actually scheduled to come see you guys quite a bit ago, but schedule got quite busy. But I just kind of wanted to come and talk a little bit about my year so far and how thankful I am to Johnston County for all of the support they showed me during my prep. And obviously it paid off because we were able to take the Miss North Carolina title back home to Johnston County. I just got back home from Miss America's Teen, which was absolutely so incredible. I am unfortunately have to say that while there I suffered a dislocation, so I ended up not being my full potential, but it was still such an honor to just be able to be there and to wear North Carolina across my chest. My community service this year has been about trees. It's called the Tree Hugger Project. My dad works with an organization that takes hog lagoons and turns it into renewable energy, and so I've kind of always just been surrounded by the importance of protecting our environment. As Miss North Carolina's teen and as Miss Johnston County's team, I was able to write and publish my own book that's now in at least one school in all 50 states across the nation, as well as now plant my very first tree all the way in Haiti. And once again, that just kind of comes back to all of the support that this community and that this town has showed me, and I'm just so thankful for you all, and I just kind of wanted to come and pretty much give a big thank you and just say that we were happy to say that North Carolina title is back to Johnston County.
Fantastic. All right, thank you. Any questions, comments from the board?
No, I just wanted to echo, she did an amazing job for somebody. I watched most of the competition, and you would never know that you had an injury the
Thank
whole
you.
time. So very good job. And she was a great representative of Johnston County, and now will be for the state.
Fantastic, well done.
So we had a picture with the Miss Johnson County sash on.
Yes.
We probably need one with.
We
the
absolutely
Carolina
need one with
sash.
this one.
Just step right behind the podium. All right, I'll just take a few. All right. Everybody ready? Nobody blink. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, we might need to get our own little wall going in here,
almost can't
guys,
listen.
of like all the phenomenal
Yeah, all
queens
the
we've
awards.
had come through here. I mean, they
It's
just
awesome.
Yeah.
really do some outstanding things.
All right, next up, we have public comments, and I think the first item under public comments, Mr. Chester, do you have something for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Tonight, I'd like to recognize two county agencies. The first, public information for their national award. It was a National Savvy Award for the video, honoring our heroes, stories of sacrifice and service. And based on some recent work, I think they might get one next year because they're doing an outstanding job. Adam and Ben are here. Adam, do you want to say something about it?
Not really, but
Okay.
Well, yeah, step to the microphone so we can hear you then.
no, I will say the next item on the agenda is our inspectors out there in the hallway, and those guys are. I'm looking forward to hearing what Shane has to say because I'm really proud of them and happy they got that honor. But for as Mr. Hester mentioned, we did win a national award in the City and County Marketing Association. And it was for an employee video we did that originally was going to be an internal video, and it highlights our veteran employees. So we reached out to some folks we knew who were veteran employees and asked them if they would talk a little bit about their experience and what it's been like working for Johnston County since they transitioned. And are we losing my key? Do we put the batteries in?
Yeah.
We didn't do that to set you up, but
Yeah.
Adapt and overcome.
That was supposed to be Jennifer's microphone.
I know.
Yeah. There's still an opportunity there.
Oh, I see a light now.
And we're back. Sorry about that.
you're very good at your job, though, clearly.
We did not win any audio awards. So,
Next year.
next year. But yeah, so we highlighted our veteran employees, and we brought a 30-second clip. Ben, you want to pull that up? It's on Susie's computer, and we'll play a little bit of that for you.
I was 7 years old when 9/11 happened. We were actually living in New York at the time.
Slams into the North Tower.
I wanted to do something of service.
I come from a long line of veterans. My grandfather was Army, my father was Navy. There's a pride that carries on through your life. It never leaves you.
Freedom that we have in this country doesn't come free. There's a price that's paid, and that price is paid by the soldier.
Veterans Day means to me gratitude for the ones who raised their right hand and said, "Send me."
And also, I'd like to mention Commissioner Stevens was in that video as well, and we really appreciate you being a part of that. And I know Commissioner Godwin has participated in some other veteran projects we've done.
I was in that one.
And you and that one as well. But we couldn't do it without you guys. Couldn't have done it without stories from our veteran employees. And we're going to do it again this next year. So again, we appreciate all your support and to our employees as well, our coworkers. So thank you.
And what's the current video that's out there?
Yeah, so we just put out a video on Friday about farmland preservation and conservation easements. So we encourage you to go to our Facebook page, YouTube channel, Instagram page, or our website. You can watch it any of those places and learn a little bit more about conservation easements and farmland preservation. And we've been working on it for about a month, but I think it's one of our better projects we've done. So really enjoyed that. And thank you to, if you are watching, Mr. Wiggs, who is a lifelong farmer in Selma. He made that video possible, so we appreciate his support. Yeah.
Great job.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
Good job.
Do you want a picture for your
Yeah,
own
yeah, I was gonna
office?
He'll Photoshop it later.
All right.
Congratulations.
And Rick, you have more for us.
Yes, sir. You know, for Hurricane Helene, there were many county agencies that went out west to help, and many building inspectors, and there's quite a few in the hall that are hopefully come in now, and they got a statewide award. It's called the Barry Gupton Award for their response to Hurricane Helene. So it's okay, Mr. Hudson may give you a little overview of that. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Sure.
Great. Good evening.
The North Carolina Building Inspector Association has what they call a damage assessment team. And anytime that inspectors get deployed throughout the state, they rely on that association to come up with the people to get deployed. During that, we had 11 people that we sent over about a 5-week period, because once they commit, you could be going up to a week at a time. So everybody that did the damage assessments in the western part of the state, they recognized us by a Barry Gupton Award through the North Carolina Building Inspector Association. I think totally they had somewhere around 80, 90 roughly inspectors, not counting state employed, but from different municipalities that went out and done the assessment. So that's what the award recognizes, and obviously with the support of Rick and the board that allows us to do it, and the team that we got, it was possible. So I appreciate the support for the board as well.
We thank you for living out two of the words that describe us, the responsive and compassionate. So thank you guys for that.
You did us proud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've got Mike Piper, Stacy Strickland, Josh Gainey, Preston Batten in the middle, Alan Cook, Russell Reeves, with us tonight.
Fantastic. Very proud of y'all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed.
Do we want to pick
All right, yeah, we need
picture?
a picture time. Yeah, we might as well.
Y'all smile.
Come on up here. Why were you looking at me when you said that?
All right, here we go, y'all. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
All right,
Thank you all
gentlemen.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just add, the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners produced a video, their 100-strong production on the Helene effort, and I think it's 9 months after. You can go on their website and find that, but it's a pretty powerful video to see how things were and where they are now. So just if you got time, go check that one out. All right, this brings us to the regular portion of our public comment. If there's anybody from the public who wishes to comment on an item that is not on our agenda, please come forward at this time. All right, and Madam Clerk, were there any emails? Okay, no emails. All right, we will move on, and I will now recognize Ms. Crystal Morphus with Creative Economic Consulting to come and present on the cost of community services study and economic impact modeling.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr.
Good evening.
Chairman.
Good evening.
Commissioners, it's good to be in front of you and to talk about community services and fiscal impact model. So I just wanted I'll share a little bit of information about my company. And while they're getting that pulled up, I can say next slide, please. we'll roll through, and then I'll talk about the two areas of study, the cost of community services as well as the fiscal impact model. A little bit of information about our company. We are an economic development consulting firm. We're a boutique firm. We're small. We're headquartered in North Carolina, in the foothills and western part of the state. Most of our work is across the southeast, and I'll get to in just a minute. We've done quite a bit of work for Johnston County municipalities around the Research Triangle region and across North Carolina. The next slide. As I mentioned, we're a boutique firm. There are 4 of us in the company. I will be leading this project if you move forward with it, both the cost of services and fiscal impact model. Penny Whitehart, who's senior consultant with our firm, specializes in economic impact analyses, and I'll talk about some of the projects that she has led. Heather Beard leads research and analysis for our company, and Billy Carter heads marketing and technology. Penny, Heather, and I have all been practicing economic developers in North Carolina, so we know the implementation side of this, as well as the practitioner side of the economic development and what you hope to achieve through these 2 studies. As I mentioned, our firm is small. We like to say we keep our pond small, so all of our fish are big in our pond, and each project is unique. We're pretty entrepreneurial. We own several proprietary programs that no other consulting firm in the nation owns, so we're pretty creative, just as our name says, and we have a philosophy of paying it forward. We give away 1 consulting project a year, up to $25,000 of our services. You just were talking about supporting Western North Carolina and Hurricane Helene. This year's Give Back project has gone to Mitchell County. We're forming a resilience strategy and thinking about how they can continue to recover from Helene. But we've given away projects now for 11 years. We started just shortly after the company was founded 13 years ago. So we do a lot of work in these different buckets. The one that we'll talk about today is around impact analysis. That's where this cost of services and local fiscal impact model will fall. I will say, and I'll mention again in a minute, we do a lot of strategic planning work, and we are wrapping up a strategic plan for Clayton. Just a little bit of work references and similar projects. We finished an economic impact analysis for Western Carolina University. We looked at the impacts of construction spending, operations, visitor impact, alumni impact across the state. That's a public document that Western Carolina has shared across the state. In Wake Forest, another fast-growing community in the Raleigh metro, we finished a cost of services study for them not quite a year ago. They would be a good community to talk to about the outcome of a very similar study. We've also done quite a bit of work over the years for Wake Forest related to economic development. Other impact analysis and economic analysis projects have been in Holly Springs, across the North Carolina southeast region. And then I did mention that we are now wrapping up an update to the Clayton strategic plan. We did their strategic plan a few years ago through an electricity sponsorship. This one is an update to that. We'll be delivering that to their council at their October meeting. In addition to Clayton, over the years we have worked Selma, Smithfield, Benson. We do a lot of work for electricities and public power communities across the state. And we've done other work across the Research Triangle as well, and be happy to talk about any of our other work. So the cost of community services study, it really can evaluate land use. As you think about the very difficult decisions that you make for this community on land use, on whether property should be for residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, and all the different things that kind of go under those headings, it can help you make really better and informed planning and zoning decisions. So these studies are done across the United States really as information for decision makers like you. It can also support open space and farmland preservation. When you look at the cost of services, agriculture has a positive benefit to a community, because the agricultural space requires very little support services as opposed to a resident that requires education and human services and all the other public services. It can also help support long-term fiscal sustainability. You hear of communities that become solely a bedroom community, and after a while they don't have the tax base to support the public services that citizens want to invest in parks and recreation, as an example. So in this project, we would gather data and information about the county's revenues and expenditures. We would work with your county department heads to gather this information. We would then place your revenues and expenditures into land use categories: residential, agriculture, and then commercial/industrial. We would then develop a ratio that would say for every dollar Johnston County spends on services for residential areas, then those land uses return X number of dollars back to the county. The same thing with these other land use categories. It helps a community then understand the cost and benefits of different land uses. We would summarize this information. Of course, you would have the full report, but folks like to read an executive summary. We would summarize that you can share with the public, and we would deliver that report and summary and make a presentation to this board of those findings. The second project that we have discussed is local fiscal impact modeling. This is a much more granular look at revenues and costs in a community of development projects, for example. This also supports decision-making, and it can help guide growth and investment. So, for example, if a developer has proposed a large mixed-use development, what is the impact on schools? What is the impact on infrastructure? What revenues can be expected from this project? But what are also the costs of this potential project? This would be at a much more granular level, and we would probably need to divide it up into different districts in the county, because Johnston County's many communities within one umbrella of the county. In phase one, we would develop a project team made up of your staff here at the county that really understands infrastructure, understands public services, understands schools, so we have a good project team to work with. Then we would start working on the data points that would go into the fiscal impact model. And we would have a set of assumptions. You know, one of the assumptions that we would make is for every new residential unit, the schools could expect X number of children. And that would be based on recent population trends and growth trends and the current trends of families and children per residential unit. We would have a set of assumptions that everyone would review and agree on and approve those assumptions and the variables before we start building the model. Because once the model is built, it can be innovated, but it's easier to get all those assumptions in place first. And for example, we would look at certain areas of the county and how the infrastructure impacts would be different. Those would also be a set of assumptions. In phase two, after everyone's approved the data set and the assumptions, we would actually work to develop the model, and we would start testing it and training. This is something that we intend to turn over to staff that they can then use going forward and can update going forward. We've talked with your staff team. This could very likely be a pretty complex Excel with embedded macros in it that allows staff to update it. It is our goal that once we turn it over, Johnston County will be able to run the fiscal impact model and be able to innovate within it over time so that it continues to meet your needs. We would present that model to you and again turn it over in a format that staff could work with. If we started these projects in October, and we're on your timeline, but if we started the projects in October, we could complete the cost of services around January, the fiscal impact model a little bit later around February. That one is going to be more complex. We can run them parallel. They don't have to be done in sequence. We can run them parallel to one another. But if we started them both in October, one could be finished in January and the other in February. When we started the company, we include a one-year retainer in every project. We want to make sure that our clients make use of our work and it doesn't sit on the shelf. So, and I'll say after a year, we still return calls and emails and answer questions, but the 1 year encourages our clients to stay engaged with us, to make sure that they understand the outcomes, that they're working on implementation, and that we can support them going forward with anything that they need. So with that, I'll be glad to answer questions that you have.
All right, any questions for Ms. Morphus?
I don't have a question, I have a comment. The thing you said about having studied and it staying on the shelf,
Yes.
that's a good idea to have that retainer, because too often in government that happens.
Well, Commissioner Godwin, it does us no good if a client leaves our study on the shelf. We don't have any successes to talk about. So we work with our clients to make sure, one, that the study is relevant in the beginning
Right.
and actionable, but then that they have the tools and information they need to be successful.
That's good.
Yes, sir. Mr. Stovall.
Mr. Chairman, I'd want to say that I'm pleased that, to see that we are considering this proposal, and I hope that we can move forward with this cost community services analysis. As one of the individuals who served on the Citizens Advisory Committee for the Development Land Use Plan, our committee strongly recommended that we have this type of information available to the decision makers to ensure that we're making the best decisions for our citizens that's going to ensure that we have net positive revenue growth as opposed to focusing on growth that is going to ultimately create deficits in our budget. And this is the type of information that we must have to do that. So very pleased to see this, hope this comes to fruition.
Same, I just wanted to echo that. This is one of our objectives and priorities that we had at our planning session back in March. So it's really exciting to see it all coming together. And I think also the timeline will, I think, pair well whenever we're working on the UDO update. I did have one question. You said it was going to probably be a very complex Excel type of thing. I know we were also possibly looking at having software updates too and like a dashboard. So I'm hoping that we can hopefully get both of those to merge as well with staff.
Well, I tell you, with the award-winning technology staff that you have here, I have high hopes for integration. And let me just say, I'm glad that the microphone went out before I got here.
I have one other question. It's hard to quantify this. Does your report or does the finished product have anything to say about the intangibles associated with growth of residential areas in the county? Traffic problems. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. The cost of community services does not. It is based on revenues and expenditures.
Right.
And so that is that's only a data analysis. In the fiscal impact model, it is now envisioned to be data analyses. Now, that doesn't mean that you could not at some time interject into that model qualitative scoring. I'll give you an example, like on an industrial site, sometimes we ask people to rate the curb appeal 1 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a qualitative assessment that ends up in a number, that ends up in a model. That would be something that you may want to consider, or your department heads may want to consider. But at this time, it's envisioned to only be data.
Right. Thank you.
Got a question?
Yes, sir.
As you know, our county is a big county and has a lot of diversity. We just approved fire department purchase that was for $500,000 an acre. And in the eastern part of the county, that would be unheard of. So how does this data take into account the vast difference in property values and so forth?
Yes. So I'll explain it this way. So for economic impact modeling, we use a nationally recognized software called IMPLAN. And it will analyze at like a 30,000-foot level. Because the higher up you go, the more common the variables. The more ground level you get, the more complex and disparate the variables are. So one of the things that we will work with your staff to determine is, are we going to end up at the 5,000-foot level or the 1,000 or the 500-foot level? At some point, the model will have too many exceptions to be relevant. It'll get as low as it can get and still be relevant. So, for example, we'll have to determine, does Johnston County have 5 areas of study or 6 areas or 10 or 3? When through the department heads, we'll be able to figure that out. But at some point, we'll have to draw a line, because then it becomes almost a case-by-case basis,
Mm-hmm.
and you want a workable model. So we may have to stop at the 1,000-foot level.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So I had a couple. Utilities, are they in the?
They will need to be, because
Okay.
you have so many public power communities here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even though we don't provide the power, that's included?
I think that you will need to understand that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would just say, as Commissioner Stovall brought up, is I don't know that I was as thrilled about the cost of community services piece, but the economic analysis piece is what I wanted, because I wanted to get to that granular, because one number for a county our size and as diverse as it is, and we know, kind of how the numbers are going to fall out between residential and commercial, industrial, and agriculture. But it's that next piece where how do we get down to making decisions based on that information? I think that's what this board and I think future boards would probably want to know is what is the economic impact of whatever development is that's coming to us that we're approving.
And let me circle back to the electric, or utilities in general, but particularly the conversation around development and electric utility has changed a lot in the last 6-7 years. I've been in economic development for a little while, and for my entire career, the whole conversation around electric was just how long is it going to take and how much is it going to cost to serve it. The whole conversation now is whether we have capacity for it. So I think one of the things we'll have to do is understand where Johnston County has capacity for certain types of electric loads and where it may not. The whole capacity issue and the ability to serve, the whole conversation has really changed a lot in a very short amount of time. And one of the drivers behind that is the exceptionally large electric loads that are being requested now by industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're seeing that same.
Yeah.
Same. It used to be water and sewer, and now it's water, sewer, and electricity.
Yeah.
So, and a couple of other things. I know you mentioned Excel, but I know there are other things. I mean, Smartsheet, Power BI. Is that?
Yes. Yeah, we'll look at the tool that will be most useful to your management team.
And we actually use Google products. So.
Yes. So we can look at those. It'll be fairly complex, and so we'll have to see if Google will be able to handle the complexity of it, but it will deliver in a format that your staff will be able to use.
And then one other thing is just out of curiosity, you had mentioned school growth. Mm-hmm. And, we have seen growth, but in the last 3 or 4 years in our schools, I'll say our traditional Johnston County public schools, not charter school, we've seen flat growth. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's going to last forever, but just something to consider as you're looking at. We in the last 3 or 4 years, we've seen that growth be pretty flat, even including charter schools. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that that's unique to Johnston County, but it is happening, and how we factor that in for whenever it does grow.
And that's something that the education partners will help us understand, are those trends and how that could be changing. Also, with the types of residential units that are being built, will that encourage more families or fewer families with children in Johnston County?
Okay. Any other questions? Is everybody okay with directing staff to pursue in the contract with Crystal's firm?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yes.
The first and the second. Yeah, first and second, yeah.
Yes.
Do you need a motion?
Do we need a motion for that? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe trip home.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have a public hearing for naming a newly constructed road. I will now open that public hearing and ask Mr. Newton to come forward and explain the purpose of this meeting.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Board. So the purpose in this hearing is to name a newly constructed road. This road is part of an NCDOT project involving the US 70 business interchange at I-95. And the specific road or newly constructed road is located or connects Mallard Road back to the north over to US 70 business. You can see it there. It's that curved road there along that D quadrant, just beyond that D quadrant. So this road is completed. It is currently in service. We have made provision for temporary naming of this road for dispatch purposes. However, it is Johnston County's responsibility with regard to new roads, DOT roads in unincorporated area, and this is unincorporated area of the county. It is our charge and duty to name these roads in accordance with 153A 239.1. So with that being said, we do offer an ordinance for naming of this road. for your consideration this evening, coming with a recommendation from staff to rename this road to Polecat Branch Road. Town of Smithfield was consulted on the naming of this road. They did have some alternate names or presented some initial names, but they all conflicted with what we already have, and we don't want to have any issues with dispatching emergency services in the case of any event. But we do offer that ordinance for your consideration.
All right, any questions for Mr. Newton?
There's no issues with 911.
No, sir.
Okay.
All right, is there anyone else wishing to speak to this issue? All right, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to the board for deliberation and/or a motion.
Well, we haven't had much discussion among ourselves because this was told to us last month, but I don't know of any, I haven't heard of any better suggestions, so I would move that we approve the name of the newly constructed road of Polecat Branch Road as recommended by staff.
Second.
We have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on
It'd be unique.
Polecat Branch Road?
I have to ask a
Sounds very
question.
Johnston County, I'm not gonna lie.
Of all the names that were presented, that was the best one.
Yeah.
Answer that, 'cause we're gonna have to
There's a little
answer that.
creek running through there that's Polecat
There
Branch.
is a branch that does run through there as historically it has been known as and identified as Polecat Branch. However, there were other names. They just were not viable candidates because of conflict. So.
I think our marketing people would recognize that this is a memorable
I will go
name.
away.
Yeah.
Was not my call.
I wouldn't buy a house on that just because I wouldn't want that to be my address.
I tell you, hard to believe there's not another Polecat Branch Road somewhere.
Yeah,
I can believe that. Okay,
I'm sure there is somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
All
be
right,
the first.
any other discussion on that? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. We now have Polecat Branch Road in Johnson County.
Thank goodness.
I want to vote no just so I don't go down in
Yeah.
history as
Too
being the
late.
one that named it.
Yeah.
Too late. You can take your grandkids out of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
tell them
Let me see a vote
When people ask
61
what
where
we
I'm
do
not
as
on.
county commissioners, we name things, Polecat, Branch, right?
All right, let's move on. We will now continue on with case 2504 that we had tabled at our last meeting. It's a rezoning petition. And Braston, will you come and give us a review of the background?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Case 25-04 is conditional zoning request involving approximately 95 hundredths of an acre of a 1.57 acre tract located at 477 Hatcher Road in Micro Township. The request is to rezone from agricultural residential to general business conditional zoning district. And the request is to permit an allowable use of animal boarding at the location. As I said, this is just a portion of the 1.57 acre tract, and you will see on screen is a GIS map showing the ortho, and you can see the house, currently a home that resides on the property, and this is to the left of that. I will remind you that last meeting, there were a few items that came up during public comment as well were echoed in staff report as what the staff report provided. That meeting were some conflicts with the proposed drive location for the facility, if approved, and that is overlaid in an easement, an access easement, which serves properties in the rear, and I believe there are currently 3 parcels of land in that rear that the 60-foot easement would serve. Additionally, there were some concerns over noise as well. There were some questions with regard to waste management. I think those were addressed by the applicant. And the prior meeting, the applicant did present an alternate site plan with some modifications to address access and even mention the noise and buffering as far as planting evergreens or modifying the buffer layout or the buffer design. Initially, if you'll see there, just to the, sort of to the north, as you come in on the drive, you'll see that drive narrow to serve those residential, or those tracks in the rear. That initially did not have that curvature in it to line up with that 25-foot easement on the adjoining property. It went straight and just did not align. So that was one of the changes. There's notation on there with regard to the landscaping, making some modifications there as well. Since that time, that last meeting, we have met with the applicant and had some discussion about some possible alterations or modifications of the layout of the site, maybe even turning the building 90 degrees so that it would fit toward the rear of the property, move the parking to the front and the drive over, and pull that drive out of that easement. I'll let the applicant address those where they stand on those if they thought that was something they wanted to entertain. But if it's, we don't even know if that's technically possible in this situation due to, you'll see the dashed rectangle there in the bottom right corner of that portion of the site is an existing septic system which serves the existing single-family dwelling there to the right. So glad to answer any questions you may have at this point.
Is the other dashed area in the top right corner, is that proposed?
That is there to serve the proposed building.
Okay.
Proposed use.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Newton?
On the left side of the proposed driveway, there is a current buffer. Would that be sufficient, or is that something that would be planned to add to?
That's something that would have to need to be added. Now, there could be some credit given because I know there is some vegetation or some plantings there. However, it looks to be that some of that may actually be deciduous. So one thing we want to ensure that we have a consistent buffer there throughout the year. So evergreens are best, and something with a much lower canopy is best for that as well, and does give some protection to that adjoining property owner there to the west.
All right. Any other questions?
What is the distance from, in the picture, of the buffer from one driveway to the other? From like the easement to the driveway? Would we have to pull that up on GIS and measure it, maybe?
Which driveway are you referring to?
The residential driveway
residential
and then the
driveway.
easement. How much distance is that?
I would have to, if I had to estimate, that front line to where they're proposing that zoning boundary to be is approximately 200 feet. So you're going to be shy of that, probably 30, 40 feet.
Okay.
So it's going to put you around 140, 150, 160.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Newton? All right. We'll now hear from the applicant. Ms. Bridges, if you want to update us on any information you feel is needed for us to help make our decision.
Yes, and I apologize also too if this is a little repetitive. I tried changing it to fit the concerns that you guys had the last meeting. So good evening, commissioners. My name is Cassandra, and together, my husband, we are owners of 477 Hatcher Road in Selma. I'm the founder of Cassie's Critter Care, a local pet sitting business established in 2017 and formalized in 2019, providing pet boarding, training, drop-in visits at clients' homes, and dog walking services. Today, I respectfully request your approval for the rezoning change on my property to allow for the operation of a small-scale dog kennel, enabling me to meet the growing demand for professional pet care in our community while addressing concerns raised by my neighbors. I want to first say thank you for hearing me out on my speech on the 2nd and then tabling it until tonight, giving me time to address more concerns and do more research. Cassie's Critter Care services approximately 100 clients in a year. Last meeting I said 150. I did go back and just make sure my numbers were correct. to offering reliable and compassionate care for pets while their owners are at work or away on vacation. In October of 2020, we purchased the property on Hatcher Road and noted its potential to build and offer safe in-home boarding to the spacious 1.5 acre lot. Rezoning will allow us to construct the small-scale kennel, enhancing our ability to deliver a home-like boarding experience that clients seek. This facility will address the increasing demand for professional pet care in Johnston County, create a controlled, well-maintained environment for up to 20 to 30 dogs, ensuring safety and comfort, contribute to the local economy by sustaining my small business and potentially creating part-time jobs for contractors during peak seasons, and align with the county's goal for supporting local entrepreneurship and community services. Currently, with my day-to-day schedule, the typical operating hours are from 6:30 a.m. until 8:45 p.m., with occasional late-night pickups around 9:30 p.m. during busy holiday periods, because even though I do have contractors, I do still go out and do visits at clients' houses. This does result in clients needing to pick up later or a few people at a time. We focus on creating a safe, clean, and welcoming environment for both pets and their owners with the building. I will have the opportunity to hire staff to help change those times to better fit within a normal work schedule. As you heard last meeting, my potential building would be blocking the view for Warren, Angel, Brett, and Megan to be able to see each other. That is why they would prefer the land to stay empty. But Jared and I purchased this land from Brett to further the dream of offering the luxury in-home boarding. There's plenty of space on that 60-foot easement for 2 cars at least to drive side by side, for there to be water and power under the ground. And also, when we purchased the land, the easement deed that we signed said together with, meaning together with Brett and Megan, Jared and I, and guests thereof, should have just as much right to access that easement as we do. For the past few months that their home has been built, I have seen so many dump trucks and work vehicles drive up and down that easement, pulling out with no issues. Furthermore, the bus picks up my children at our driveway, our 3 children, with no issues. And just after the September 2nd meeting, the DOT was parked out front of our yard, putting the stop sign in front of our driveway to be able to fix and repair the ditch at James and Dolores Bailey's house. I've been working on but haven't yet received reports on how many crashes that have happened in our area or how many police calls for noise complaints that have been made. Even though I've not received those reports, I can tell you that there's 0 for both. Even when we first moved in across the street next to Warren and Angel, the renters that lived there had 8 to 10 dogs tied to trees 24/7 and outdoor stray cats. The renters would feed and still no complaints reported that I know of. Furthermore, the concerns from the prior meeting for smell, all yard waste will be cleaned up multiple times a day to ensure the cleanliness, but also taken to the convenience centers regularly as it is now. As far as noise, it will be my intent to schedule drop-offs and pickups around times where the dogs are inside to prevent any noise potential pollution. And playtime will be monitored by trained staff to ensure that unnecessary noise isn't a problem. A slight change is, yes, that 25-foot easement, the driveway does curve back to it for easy access for any future use. We would put up the private property sign at the end of the property line to signify business does not go that far. And also concerned about driving over the water and power line for Brett's home. I sat down with Brett on August 8th to discuss moving the water and power line. I spoke with the power company to get a quote for that, was unable to speak with the water company, but then still on August 28th, they were digging to be able to place that water line. And just last week, they finished placing that water line and covering it up, to which there was still plenty of time to have those water lines prepared to be dug on the other side, if there was plenty of time, if that was the big concern. I did speak with Planning and Zoning Director Braston, and they suggested looking into adding a driveway right next to Brett and Megan's driveway and flipping the building. I will say I spoke with the company, and they are looking into it. I've not received yet that email. And looked into the driveway request with the DOT, but they would require me to have to move a fire hydrant and a power pole, costing anywhere from $3,000 to $16,000 once they come out to view the land. I believe utilizing the existing easement and plan would be simpler and more cost efficient, and adding a third driveway so close would create confusion for clients due to their proximity. As far as the concern of the kids being able to walk to their grandparents' house safely, I would propose to put the sidewalk closest to the tree line to the left of the property, separated by a fence and illuminated by outdoor lighting to prevent client vehicles from entering this area. Also changing the canopy trees to something more dense to block out any potential noise. Should the property be sold in the future, it can be repurposed as a workshop or something similar to ensure no loss in property value for my neighbors or I. Cassie's Critter Care is not the only business on Hatcher Road. However, it is the only one that would need to be rezoned. There's the Myrick Vineyards that grows grapes for wine and eating. There's also on that property the Myrick's Diversified that cuts lumber. There's a Selma You Pick blueberry patch. There's also an Art House Farm that is a farm to table. And then there's the Dolores Bailey CPA. As you hear, I'm not the only business on this road, just the only one having to rezone while my business is in operation. In conclusion, I am a responsible business owner, and I am committed to all of the dogs being supervised at all time by trained staff. Dogs will be grouped thoughtfully based on temperament and compatibility to prevent unnecessary barking. Dense trees and landscaping will be planted around the property to buffer and reduce any noise. Secure fencing and safety protocols will be in place. Outdoor play will be limited to specific hours to minimize noise. All clients' appointments for drop-off and pickup and meet and greets will be scheduled in advance to avoid congestion on the driveway. And all pet waste will be cleaned up regularly and transported to convenience centers as needed. This facility will be kept clean and well-maintained to preserve the neighborhood appearance and to complement my home in looks. Since the opening of my business, I have been committed to operating in a way that benefits both my clients and surrounding community. The growing demand for pet care in Johnston County underscores the need for this rezoning. Approving this request will allow Cassie's Critter Care to continue providing a valuable service, providing fostering trust through responsible operations. Denying this request risks limiting access to safe local pet boarding, potentially pushing clients to less regulated alternatives outside my county. My track record of compassionate care, serving 200+ clients annually and adapting to neighborhood feedback demonstrates my commitment to operating in a way that benefits both my clients and the community. I respectfully ask for your support in approving the rezoning change at 477 Hatcher Road for the dog kennel. This project will meet a critical community need with addressing neighbor concerns through a thoughtful design and ongoing collaboration. I am committed to working with the county and residents to ensure a safe, compliant, and community-friendly facility. I welcome your questions, and I'm prepared to discuss further. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Bridges?
I have a couple.
Right.
So you said your business has been going since 2019 or 2017?
2017, 2019 officially as Cassie's Critter Care.
And is it located at 477
Yes,
now?
sir.
Okay. I was going to try to ride by there, but I didn't make it. But I did pull it up on Google Earth and just looking at it. Where is the kennel now
In
at
my
the
home.
property? In home.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. And I was looking at the conditions in the because I know one concern has been noise at night. Well, did I read in the conditions that the dogs will be inside after 7 p.m. or 8 p.m.?
Yes, they will be inside. Even if it is to take them out to go to the bathroom, it would be one by one. It would not be group play or anything of the sort. Even now, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then quiet time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Was it 7? What was the time on the condition?
I think 7
Okay.
for group play.
For group. Okay.
Yeah, that was
7. Okay.
8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? And you did say you had requested to look at some variations and just haven't received those.
Correct, due to the
Yeah.
time frame. Yes, sir.
Okay.
What would those variations look like?
The variations would be moving, instead of the kennel being long ways, and
It would be like this way?
it would be that way, yeah.
And then the parking in the front?
Would be in the front, but there would be then a third driveway
Okay.
right next to their
Yeah.
driveway, their existing driveway, yeah.
Okay. I can see where that would definitely be confusion of trying to figure out where to pull in.
Okay. Any other questions?
And then, so I had one more. So even if you were to able to like flip it and then have the front, you couldn't use your existing driveway to go in?
Because
Was
of
it the septic?
field, yes.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? All right, I did, hold on before you step away, I did.
Sorry.
So you can pull the, and if you're waiting to speak, I'll ask for others, just after I get through with that. All right, so there are 16
Yep.
current conditions, most of which you proposed yourself, but if this is approved, you agree to all of those 16 conditions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and this is the time for anyone else that wishes to speak, if you would. You in the corner, come on up, come on up. There's no barriers, if you would, state your name and address, please, for the record. Not much with much enthusiasm as you come up to the podium tonight. We appreciate that.
I am Sharon Rippey, and I live at 667 Hatcher Road, Selma, 27576. Do you need to know all that?
That's good.
Yep, got it.
I'm good to go. First of all, I use Cassie all the time. I go on cruises, I go to destinations, and she's always taking care of my dogs. I've always talked to her about what time to drop off my dog. I thought it was 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. I might be half hour here or there. I've never seen anybody in the driveway when I was there. Dogs are scattered to be brought in. Okay. Sorry, I got notes here. Did I address everybody? Commissioners? Chairman?
Yeah.
Oop.
I don't remember, so, but we'll say yeah. you
Okay,
did.
okay, just to make sure. I heard you say about the turns and stuff in the road. Well, Hatcher, 667 Hatcher has blind spots that I have to pull out from. And I'm from California, so they're really, really scary. When I'm walking my dog, I always walk in front of Cassie's home when I'm crossing the road, because that's the straight stretch of the street, because everything else is all curvy. I like the fact that she has a country dog sitting service. Can't find one in the county, in the country. You know, you have to go into the cities or whatever to drop off your dogs, and that's not what I prefer. My dog has gotten used to farms. We live on a farm, not a working farm. We have 6 chickens and a duck and a couple of dogs. But I just wanted to make sure, I think his name is Mr. Phillips that is requesting all these changes, or is it Mr. Bailey? Who's
we haven't heard from anybody requesting any changes at this point.
I'm sorry. Well, he's my brother-in-law's cousin, so he's been at the house. And when he comes out the driveway, I'm sure he sees the blind spots. But if he comes out of his driveway or Cassie's driveway, there's no blind spot. I mean, there's room to see and room to see. So I'm not sure why that's a point of reference or a point of something. So anyways, I just wanted to come up and talk as a dog owner, as her taking care of my dogs. Best if you need a dog sitter, she's the one to go to. Dog loves it. Okay, I guess that's all. Thank you very much for hearing me. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else wishing to speak? If you would, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Brett Phillips. I live at 391 Hatcher Road. I have some papers, if I can
Sure, if you would give them to our deputy clerk right there, she'll pass them out to us. Is there anything you're going to need to put on, so that she can put on the screen to, okay, yeah, is that something you want to point to help the rest of us get oriented? She'll give you a pointer if you.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
I hate to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Could we get the battery changer to do that for you?
I'm sorry. I'm so close.
Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. My name is Brett, and I own 391 Hatcher Road, which is this property right here, directly behind the property in question for the rezoning. The map I handed you is just a layout to kind of give an idea of everything, and then there's some subsequent pictures that I've taken. The pictures that I took, you can see there's a black circle right there on the map. That's where I was standing across the road, right at the edge of the road. But the pictures show, the first one is the blind curve. The second one is a front shot of the empty lot and my house behind it that we're building right now. And then the next picture is where my utilities are currently buried. They have since been covered up. And then the last two pictures are a little hard to make out, but that's the tree line on the property line. And so the property line does not actually end. Oh, I'm sorry, I was going to keep that for you. Yeah, so the property line doesn't actually end right here at the edge of the trees. It actually goes 10 to 15 foot down a steep embankment at the bottom of the hill. And so I have several concerns with sharing my driveway with a commercial business. The main concern I have is the safety aspect of it. You know, I've lived out that way my whole life, and I've driven on that road, I can't tell you how many times. And I can tell you that due to a neighborhood being down the road, the traffic has gotten increasingly worse. And, you know, people come around the curve flying, and that's, you know, we can't control the way people drive, human nature. But my concern is, even though I understand the proposed plot plan shows a driveway that's plenty wide for two vehicles, but again, the error of human nature tells me that somebody may be sitting in the middle of that driveway one day, and it's going to require people to stop in the road to turn in. And, you know, people coming around the curve, I just see a lot of hazards. Another concern I have is obviously my access to the land, and for me to get back across the road to my parents' house with my kids, or in the event my kids ride the school bus in the morning, they're going to be waiting at the end of a commercial drive. And taking into consideration human nature and error, it doesn't seem like a safe, viable option for my family. If you look on the map, the first map that I gave you, the red lines right there, that's the blind curve, and that was that first picture I showed you. It's hard to tell, but right here the topography changes pretty drastically. It goes uphill and stays uphill until it gets about right here, and then it starts sloping downhill. And that's where the blindness of that curve kind of comes in, is the height of that hill. You can't really see over that hill, especially when you're pulling out of my driveway. And the other thing I have a concern about is my utilities. You can see that they're already in the ground. You know, I'm trying to move in. Obviously, I've been building this thing for 6-7 months now, and being cramped up in a rental house. We're eager to get in, so I couldn't stop the construction of my house for, you know, possibly having to move my, my utilities. Not to mention, moving the utilities would be a financial cost that I can't afford right now due to all my money being tied up in a house. Having to move the electricity, having to pay for a new water tap and move it would be financially burdensome to me. And the fact that the property line goes about 10 to 15 foot down that hill, where her proposed plot map shows my utilities going, I would have to cut pretty much right down that tree line, and that's going to destroy all those trees, kill them, and then once they die, that hill is going to start to erode away, which is the reason we have the trees planted there to begin with, to keep that hill from eroding. Just because it is a very sharp change in the landscape there. So those are my concerns, the safety, and then, you know, me being burdened to have to move my utilities or possibly damaging the erosion control we have. That's all I have. I appreciate y'all letting me express my concerns.
All right, any questions for Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, Mr. Phillips, show, on that first one again, show me again where, because there's some shaded green, is that?
Yeah, so
reorient me again on where you are.
I'm right here, this 3.58 acres. My house currently is right there. It didn't show up on, that's an outdated, they haven't updated the maps. The green is actually the land that my father owns.
Okay.
And he accesses it through a 25-foot easement right here on the side of my property.
Okay. And that, the house you show in the next picture is being, or two pictures that are being built, is that in that spot you're talking about right now?
Yes, sir. Okay. It is right about there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just want to figure out where we were.
And then how does the, and then you said, is that your parents' house?
My parents are where the black circle is.
Okay.
Their house is on that side of the road.
Okay.
But he owns the land
Okay.
behind me. My dad does.
So, Ms. Reeves, could you go to the, there was, I think on the next picture or the next one that shows the curve, and I wanted to, Mr. Phillips, you could point out where the, I didn't notice the elevation change. I wanted to.
Okay.
You mean ground level?
Yeah,
okay.
That right there, there's a field right behind there, and it actually even slopes down more as you go through that field. But you can see I'm standing on this side of the road on top of this hill, but you can see there's not much visibility when you get past this point. So when my driveway, which would be a little further this way, I'd have no line of sight.
I thought you meant the road. The road came up with it. But you're just saying once you get off the road and the property.
Yeah, the road's flat. It's just the property.
Okay.
That's what creates the blind spot, is that property being so high up on the hill.
Okay.
You can see it right here. This hill goes all the way over about a quarter mile up there.
All right. I didn't have anybody else have any more questions for Mr. Phillips.
I did have one quick question. The utility lines that are underground, they are within the 60-foot easement now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then is the power pole and the fire hydrant in that 60-foot easement?
No, the power pole is outside of the easement, and the fire hydrant's more to the right of it. So
Okay.
the power pole is probably about 10 foot to the right, and what they had to do was run it underground in the state-owned easement from the road. They ran it in there and then turned it into the 60-foot easement.
Okay.
Does the applicant have access to use this access easement? Do they have rights to it?
Yeah, yeah. So originally I owned the property, and when we sold it, that was part of the agreement, was that 60-foot shared access and easement. And I do agree and consent to sharing the driveway with her family, her guests. I just don't really consent to sharing it with the public.
The business you're talking about?
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Phillips? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, if you would state your name and address, please.
My name is Warren Phillips. This is my wife, Angel Phillips. We live at 452 Hatcher Road, directly across from the property that's being proposed here. My wife had some papers to pass around to you guys and everything. Show some different pictures. Before we get started, I have some emotional and sentimental value to all this thing. First of all, I'm the type of person I like to help people. I don't like to go against somebody on something. But in this case right here, we are passionate about what we're pursuing here. And so we are against this. Simply because when I built my house in 1985, I took a stepladder out in the front yard. We had to take trees out. We had to move things around. Where are we going to put the house at? Spent a lot of time sitting there, and I stood up on the stepladder. How high do we want to build a house? And we wanted a large bay window so she could put her Christmas tree out there. And so we look out, and when we're looking out, we will be looking directly at this proposed kennel. So yeah, we didn't know anything about kennels when we first talked to Cassie about this thing. Had no idea what a kennel was, or what in-home dog care or whatever it was. We have done a lot of research since then. My wife has put together some pamphlets and booklets and everything. I'm going to let her take over and finish this up.
Again, thank you for letting us share concerns about the dog kennel that's proposed to be in front of our home. As he said, we've been there. I've been living in that exact spot since 1983. And when we talked about building a home, I asked him, I said, are you sure this is where you want to live? Because I'm not moving, so this is our forever home. But first and foremost, we are concerned about the shared driveway. As Brett has stated, he is our youngest son, but he chose to come back and purchase the land, get the land back from us to build back behind us. So he chose to come back to be a resident there, but to have a commercial driveway and that plans to house a kennel that will have 20 to 30 dogs. And each of those dogs is going to come with an owner and a vehicle. So that means every time there's a dog, there's an owner and a vehicle coming in and out. Our grandchildren, as well as ourselves, have over the past 6 to 8 months, even prior to then when the property was back there and we go pick up the pecans and things like that, we have walked that driveway to each other's homes. And now we'll have 3 grandchildren that will live directly across from us. And the only access from our house to their house and the property that we own behind it is that driveway. That is the only way we have to get back there. The traffic on Hatcher Road is already busy, has been since my entire life that I've been living there. We are concerned about the curve, which you've already heard about, and the proposed location of the kennel. There are 34 new homes that were built a half a mile from our home. 3 or 4 have been sold. I can't even think about what the traffic's going to be like when the rest of those homes are sold and start coming down our road, because they're going to be there. We've already had 6 to 8 new homes on Hatcher Road to begin with in the last couple of years. So it's going to be even more traffic. We are in a rural neighborhood with open space and close connections to landscape and natural events. It was a farm, and we could still consider it a farm, a family farm, and the agriculture is there. And yes, we do have other businesses on the road. They are agricultural. The vineyard is agriculture. The vineyards go back behind, where next to our property on the back. The other one is a brother. He has does the sawmill. He doesn't have the traffic. There's another home business there, and the other businesses I was not aware of on the property, on the road itself. But a kennel will bring in a lot more, to me, people and traffic and concerns. Like I said, we plan to live in our home the rest of our natural lives, and to know that 200 foot from our front porch is a kennel is very concerning for me. We are also concerned about the tax value of our home. Our property value just went up 70%. Our property taxes went up 30%. And I don't think anybody can really truly tell me that having a dog kennel will not degrade the value of my home if I chose to sell it. But I'll still be paying taxes on what it was valued at until they reevaluate again. I've shared with you 4 different kennels within the county. One day Warren and I decided we just randomly pulled up kennels near me, because I've never looked for kennels. We have had dogs in the past. They were in our backyard. They were in fences in the backyard. But our boys, when they grew up, they took their dogs with them. But they're all randomly, the first 4 that we found, they are throughout the county. Each of them have a dedicated driveway. There are no homes near them except for the owners, and there's open fields. You can see that they have those private drives without other people. To me, that's what you need is, off the road, away from people. That one there is out in the Four Oaks area. So we randomly drove around and took photos of the different kennels that we came across. They're either on farmland or on property that the owners live right there and there's no other homes around them. And then the next one, what's our next one? Yes. So the next one is the photos from our house and to Brett's house. You'll see that we live straight across from Brett. The top left photo is our home. And like I said, from our porch, 200 feet across the road will be a kennel. The next one is Brett's home, the new home, and 200 foot from his porch, the kennel would be in the middle. And you can see the drive that's there, that's already there, the shared driveway on the easement. And the angle from our house where you can see the driveway, how it turns in, and the closeness, proximity of how it's going to be. Buffers are great. They work. I can't imagine a complete buffer being put up that immediately is going to stop any noise or anything or any type problems that we would see that would be there. It's not going to go away. And we just have major concerns for that. Like I said, there are other businesses there, but they don't produce excessive traffic as we think that a kennel would produce. And we do love animals. We love dogs. We don't currently own any ourselves, but I just feel like that we're a rural area that, yes, we may need dog care, but it's just, to us, it's not the proper place to put it. It's too close, too tight to have it there. We'll answer any questions you might have.
All right, any questions for Mr. and Ms. Phillips?
Appreciate your diligent research.
Yeah. I will ask, so the closest one was Smithfield, is that what I saw? How far away was that?
It's right there behind the prison. It's a dead-end road behind,
Okay.
when you turn off of 70 bypass, and the road that goes up back behind the Department of,
Is that the one we named?
Is it?
Yeah, I think.
Is it really? Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
think-
I'm sorry. So,
Yeah.
yes, that's where it's at. That was the closest one. And all we did was kennels near me, and we just,
No, Crooked Creek is the one we
the
named.
Pole Creek.
Middle branch.
Whatever it is. But we just started, we Googled it, and we took the first 4 and we drove to them. And
Okay.
just took photos, just because I had not looked for kennels, did not know how close they might be to our proximity and what other kennels look like. So we chose to just ride around and look and see what they were.
I do have one question, Mr. Chairman. On the second picture, when you're looking out from your house to the new house,
Yes.
and you look straight across, is the kennel going to be in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you'll be looking at the kennel instead of the new house.
Which is, I mean, it's just the thing of looking out, but it's just the fact of looking at a kennel is the thing for us. I mean, I don't have to see my son's house. He's lived other places. I didn't have to see his house, but it would be nice to be able to see it. But more of an importance for us is the concern of traveling back and forth and the driveway and things like that. And just the safety of it is a big issue for us. And kids will be kids, and you can tell them to walk on a little path over here if you want to, but if there's rocks over here to walk in and play in, that's what they're going to do.
I just want to make sure I was oriented.
You are
correctly
correct.
on-
That is
on
from our
your-
front porch. The
on your
picture there
pictures
looks
there.
straight out from our front porch. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and the Johnston County Board of Commissioners. I am James Bailey. I live at 385 Hatcher Road. I retired from Wake County Government 2014, 30 years of service, so I commend your actions and what you guys have to do here tonight. I'd like to bring up quite a few things. I actually feel like y'all are dealing with a quagmire here, and I don't know if I can help you out or not, but I'm going to try. I am the owner on the west side of this property. Could I ask to pull up GIS, please, and the property? And the reason I ask that is I have in question the dimensions of the drawings itself. I know drawings are great and that everything looks great on paper, but when you get into the real world and start looking at it, it gets a little bit different. So on the front side, the dimensions may be correct, but when we get down to Take a few minutes, I guess. When it gets to the west side, as Brett pointed out, the line that I'm on is in the field, so it's below, and it's probably a 8 or 10 foot drop. Okay. The hedgerow there is probably very close to where they would have to put in some kind of screening. Okay. If you could zoom in on the west side, on that west line, and I know that GIS is not perfectly correct, but it gives you the other side, the west. I mean, yeah, the west side. There we go. Here. That line going from south to north. It's a, okay. All right. So this line right here, if you're looking at it from the road, there's a large tree right in there. And it is, the field is, so all of that hedgerow right there is trees, and it drops 8 to 10 feet. According to Cassie's plan, and I don't blame Cassie and Jared for promoting and wanting to do what they're doing, but I do believe that will be definitely some issues with the driveway, with the utilities for them, and for erosion if they have to do anything with that. Just point that out. The next thing is I keep hearing commercial business on Hatcher Road. There is no commercial business on Hatcher Road. My wife has a CPA. She has an in-home office. It is not a commercial business. She follows the federal, state, and local guidelines to operate her in-home business. The Art House Farms is my daughter's. It's no longer there. It was doing art and having a few chickens. So it's not no longer operational. The Myrick Vineyards, the Myrick Diversified, they're all agricultural. If I wanted to continue with agriculture, I guess I could put poultry houses right here on this property. I would be classified as agricultural. I'm not going to do that to my neighbors. That is not the right thing to do. So the only commercial property that I know of is up on 39. So then when we look at safety, I know we've talked about the curve in the road. We got 55 homes that's been built on Bailey Boykin Road. Not all of them have been sold. I think 2 or 3 of them have been sold. 55 homes, 2 people per home, 110 cars, whatever. Some of them are going to go out on Bailey Boykin Road. Some of them are going to come around on Hatcher Road. That's just the nature of it. Worry about the curve. Yes, I do worry about the curve. Not too many years ago, I had 2 young boys in my driveway upside down, flipped the car upside down, took out my mailbox. They come around the curve too fast, lost control, wound up in the 3rd driveway. So Jared was upset. Everybody was upset that was around. I was. So accidents do happen. Just don't, I feel insecure about the driveway, the curve, and more traffic. Property, again, Angel spoke of the valuation and reevaluation. My property went up, way up. And of course, that happens in reevaluation. With a kennel being right beside it, I feel like my property value is going to be going down. I'm still going to have to pay the taxes because I know the valuation is not going to, is not going to change. But if I were to try to sell that property, the valuation, you guys understand what I'm getting at. And then the last thing I'll leave you with is this. If this property is rezoned for commercial property, if they were to ever sell it, that is still commercial property. What could it be used for then afterwards? So I know you guys got a lot of hard decisions to make. And I appreciate your consideration in this and, allow me to take the time to explain myself.
I did have one quick question. So to answer his question, it could only be used for the use that we're approving it for tonight, which was animal, whatever that was, but kennel, basically. Okay.
That's what I wanted to make sure. With the conditional zoning, it is just for
Yeah,
this
it's
business
just that,
only.
so we
That's it.
couldn't come in and cheat, somebody else would have to come back and change the use
Next
to something
commercial
else.
owner, it could not
Yeah,
change
yeah.
it. Okay.
And I'm glad you asked that question, so we can make sure for us as well, so. All right, any questions?
Thank you,
for
sir.
Mr. Bailey?
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening, Councilman and Chairman. I hate public speaking. I shake and I start to cry if you guys upset me, but that's okay. Just saying.
We're not going to do that tonight.
All right, so I'm Laura Bailey. I'm at 667 Hatcher Road in Selma. My farm land goes up against the Baileys. And Cassie's right there. She does take care of my dogs and my chickens and my duck. And that's all the poultry we're going to have. So I appreciate all the work she put into the project and to discuss the building itself. And I want to tell my family, I'm really sorry that all this is happening. I'm really sorry they're putting 42 damn homes down the street, and life has changed. Our life on the farm has changed, and it's going to continue to change. You guys have, not you guys, but society has changed that now it's farming and residential. So my neighbor who has 10 acres is going to probably end up selling, and he's going to end up selling it to a developer. Okay? We have 11 acres, I think, left. We sold some to the family, and a house, and we put it way back because I worked with developers. I do research. I was a consultant for commercial builders in Las Vegas. So I know how things are going to change. And so putting it on the road, all the family was going, why are you putting it so far back? You can't see the cars. Well, I don't want to see the cars. I want to see my farm. And so we're back. There was the traffic. Yes, it's going to change. There is no longer the way to take the kids from one side of the street to the other. There isn't. Because 42 homes are going over there. And then there's going to be more and more. If you guys can guarantee me that you will not allow 42 more homes in that area, then great. I will go over to that side of the fence. But you guys can't, because change happens. You put a commercial building, yes, it's conditional. Now, she's going to one day sell, maybe. And if she sells, then that turns into a farm building, correct? Workshop, whatever the new owner wants to do with it. The view is already ruined, and it's never going to change unless she just keeps it as a vacant lot. So noise-wise, traffic-wise, it's not a good thing with traffic, but it is what it is. There is no blind curve in front of that project. I didn't print it because I didn't think it was going to be necessary. When I walked over to my property, and the dead man curve, as they said, is before you get to that property. So I took a picture of it, and the elevation isn't that different where you're going to be impeding the view of the traffic. And you know what? We can do something about it. We can stop people. The sheriff should be out there. The sheriff should be, or DOT should be out there. There's a lot of things you can do if people are speeding. Every truck on Monday, there was 20 trucks go across Hatcher Road. 20. And you know what? 5 of them were speeding. I was going to get on my bike and ride over there and talk to them at the site, but I didn't. I don't like confrontation, but I do have facts. Also, the noise. I know the conversation on noise isn't as much as it was the last meeting. But I want you guys to understand, the decibel levels on properties are changing. And you look at 20 dogs barking at the exact same time outside the property, at the exact same time. I've been to many dog parks now, and you don't have 20 dogs barking at one time. You get a barker here and there. So, but let's say we have 20 dogs barking at the exact same time, which gives you a decimal level, I think, of 90. Then you add the building. You add landscaping. You add insulation for that building. And then that goes down. It's less, it's about probably about the same as the 8 or less than the 8 dogs barking on a chain, which nobody ever complained about. And it was horrible. 8 to 10 dogs were on a chain outside and barking nonstop next door to one of the properties. Okay? Cassie has a great service. I love her to death. Business-wise, I'm just getting to know her on a personal level, even though we went to the same church and I didn't know it. And so she wants, looking at her vision, she wants to continue her dog care the way she's doing it now. And it's not like you have hunting dog kennels or property like that. It's more of a home care for the dogs. She wants that atmosphere. I wouldn't put my dog there unless it was that atmosphere. And I think she's going to make that decision and value the property and value the family farm life. And that's part of being a community. And I'm sorry if I took so much time. I can show you the picture from the property to the Dead Man's Curve. I don't think you can do it from your...
Did you have one printed out in the folder there? Was that?
That was just the map, the Google
Okay, but
map.
it's not the same one you have, the picture you're talking
No,
about.
the picture is straight on in the car so that
Okay,
you
yeah,
can
I don't think
see.
we have the capability to do.
But it's, so,
Yeah, it's on the,
this is the,
No, I'm saying if you put that down there.
You are saying the same thing.
Well, here's a picture.
and I apologize
Yeah.
for not printing it. I just didn't think that was going to be an issue because there's not.
ask ourselves.
That's where the curve ends, where the mailbox is, and then it goes straight.
And that's looking west?
It's east to west.
Okay.
And the other side, I didn't even take a picture because it was straight.
Okay. And that's you would be on the left side of that picture? Okay.
Yeah, they're on the left, and Cassie's house is on the right.
Down below where the lush shrubbery is, that is the property next to us, so we're just beyond that, between that and the power pole, which is on the left-hand side.
Okay.
Our driveway is somewhere up there.
Okay.
You can't see our driveways there on the left, there, you can see the lot.
All right.
So we should look at changing the speed limit too.
All right.
But
Any
that's another
other
matter for
questions for
another
Ms.
day.
Bailey?
I had one quick question. I was just wanted to clarify, are you speaking in for or against the project?
Can you promise me we won't have any more 40
Yeah, she's
houses?
against the next 42 home subdivisions.
Yeah, yeah,
On
but-
Thatcher Road.
I am for the project.
Okay, all
I
right.
think it's a great aspect of our community, and I mean, I would put a dog park if I could.
Okay,
But I'm
thank you.
never home. But I think it's a great project. It can be used for anything else if they ever move. And it's going to, whatever is built there is going to be an issue, and times change.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Anything
Thank you.
else? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I just kind of wanted to touch on a few of the concerns that were made here tonight for my wife on her behalf. The speed limit is 45, if I remember correctly. And if 45 is too fast, I think it needs to be addressed with the Department of Transportation. Speaking on the wreck that occurred, my wife and I were actually home that day. It was actually one of my coworkers' sons. I currently work for the Knightdale Police Department. What happened that day is we were putting in a storm door, and I'm also trained on a speed measurement instrument. I heard a car going very fast, He was a young man. I think he was 18 at the time. I estimated him going about 88 miles per hour. I actually got in my truck, drove down there when they flipped, got out with them, made sure that they were okay. I did. My wife called. That's a completely separate incident. And again, if speed is a concern, I think that needs to be addressed with the Department of Transportation. As far as the hazard, again, with the speed, my kids get picked up right there in front of my house by Johnston County Public Schools. So again, if speed is a factor, then that needs to be addressed. Again, with speed in mind, he also lived in the house that we currently reside in. So if speed was such an issue, why wasn't it then when he lived there and only now? Sorry, I hate public speaking. I can imagine how my wife stood up here for so long. In my honest opinion, I believe this is all, we're the new kids on the block. We're trying to bring something new, something that we can share with the community. Again, I don't think speed's going to be an issue, and if it is, it needs to be addressed with the Department of Transportation. That's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Bridges?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else wishing to speak? All right, I will close the public comment portion of the hearing and call on Mr. Newton to summarize and present the planning board's recommendation.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, Board, as it relates to conditional zoning case 25-04, Planning Board does recommend denial by way of a split vote, and they do offer a statement of consistency for your consideration, and the points in that statement of consistency are that the rezoning is not consistent with our current land use plan. The area is designated as an agricultural area place type. And in addition to that, the concerns were echoed from the planning board with regard to the conflict with the traffic being generated, by the business and the users of the residents as well. And they did hear the noise concerns as well and echoed those also. Glad to answer any questions you may have.
All right, any additional questions for Mr. Newton?
I had a question. Is there anything in code, any of that kind of stuff where a commercial business can also be used for a home business, like home address? Could they use a shared driveway, or do they have to have a separate driveway?
As far as sharing a driveway, no, it would just have to be, the driveway would have to accommodate the business. And it also would have to be permitted and improved in accordance with the NCDOT standard.
Okay.
Which is typically, they'll look at one, the width, location, and the paving of the apron through the right-of-way from the edge of asphalt to the right-of-way.
Okay.
All right, and I guess I did have some, I don't know if this is you or our council, but I guess kind of what we're looking at, denial tonight would mean they cannot bring this project back within a year unless there were substantial changes to the plan.
That is correct. So in accordance with our ordinance, it does have a year waiting period unless there is a material change in either the request, meaning the district, or in this case, since it is conditional zoning, it is site plan specific, is that as long as there's substantial material changes to that site plan, then it could come back through the process immediately.
Okay, and then would the orientation that Ms. Bridges brought up, would that be considered
The
material
orientation,
change?
yes, sir, and the drive as well, or point of access, yes, sir.
Okay.
Braston, quick question. I know we see a lot with at-home businesses expanding that type of thing. A lot of times they come in and apply for rezoning due to complaints. Were there any complaints filed? Is any of this in connection with that, like we've seen before? Or there weren't any complaints leading up to this? It's just okay.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
And I guess just to, maybe for the applicant's sake, is the other option would be wait to the information that she requested from the consultant to come in and with that material change.
That is
And look
certainly
at
an
the
option.
driveway. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, just wanted to put that out there. Any other questions for Mr. Newton?
I do. Tell me again why the staff recommends denial.
Yeah, we had similar concerns with regard to the layout, the shared drive. We still had some concerns, although it wasn't echoed by DOT. Typically, they're a little gun shy at this phase with regard to their very high-level review to make any comments about the location and drive as it relates to site distance and whether that's something that could be permitted through their process. So those were our concerns. We also had some concerns as well with the consistency with county
Consistency of
plans
land
of
use plan.
the agricultural area.
Okay.
And it does make, and we will note that it does make recommendations, or there are, I'll say this, reference to concentration of commercial development in activity nodes. And obviously, this is not in an activity node. Those activity nodes would generally be at areas where you have higher traffic volumes and crossroads, so it could be a rural crossroads, or those types of areas where there's two state roads or
like 42
heavily
and
traveled.
39.
Yeah, so it'd be like a NC 231 and then an intersecting road where you have, and that could be a collector road.
Right.
Yes, sir.
All right, any more questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Newton. All right, I will turn it over to the board for discussion and consideration. I know we'll note the applicant had agreed to the 16 conditions that were presented.
I generally like to be accommodating to people, especially when someone's an entrepreneur, wanting to follow their dream. But the thing that concerns me, and I might feel different if this had been, say, a generational or two-generational ownership and had full endorsement of all the neighbors, because the zoning was put in place for a reason. And because of that, and it's not for all the things that we've talked about tonight, I'm just really basing this on the fact that it's not consistent with our land use plan. But towards that end, I move to adopt a statement of consistency resolution that the use is not in the public interest, and further that the use is not consistent with the comprehensive land use plan. And for the specific reasons that staff pointed out, shared drive and not consistent with the land use plan.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I have a few things.
Can I say a few things? Okay, thank you. So I am first off, a dog lover, of course, and I do think that we need this type of business in our county. It is a very rural setting, and I heard a lot, and I can definitely sympathize with the neighbors of what they are feeling. I do know that we've seen lots of situations where I don't think anybody's ever said that the speed limit on their road is too slow and it should be increased, or that there's not enough houses and they want more around them. We've never heard that. So I get that, and I completely understand the feeling. I think back to a few months ago, I think there was a barber shop that was in a rural setting that we said was we approved the rezoning for that barber shop, and it was at a crossroads in the country. And so having said all that, I do think with the conditions that are outlaid, and that the fact that dogs are going to be indoors at 7 p.m. and the track record and history of the current business, that it would be a good addition. But I do have one problem, and that is the fact that the drive is shared with a separate owner. If it was both shared for their residents, who's the owner of the business, as well as their home, that would be one thing. But the fact that it's shared with another individual who is that's the access to their home does lead me to have some reservation to this project.
I agree. I'm all for property owners' rights. I'm all for small business and entrepreneurship, but that is my concern, is that shared easement with it being with two properties behind it, but then also for commercial. I would really like to see the map kind of flipped a little bit, so then that way of having the buffer zones on the, I guess, on the east, so then that way it lined the easement, and then trying to turn it and share the driveway with the house, with the owner's residence, with the business, so then that way it alleviates that whole issue that was talked about. I know that septic drain system is there, but I think we could possibly flip it just a little bit to try to have that shared space. Like I said, I think this is a true need in the community. I see it a lot. I live a quarter of a mile from a dog boarding kennel, and have no issues. And it stays booked all the time. So it's definitely a need for the community. And I commend Cassie for being here and having the vision of her business and wanting to see it grow and see it prosper. So I really have a lot of heartburn over this. Like I said, my concern is that shared easement of having commercial, like I said, parking and people coming and going with a residence in the back is my concern.
I'll echo a lot of what Commissioner Pace Davis said. I absolutely recommend any type of entrepreneurship. I agree. I'm a dog lover. You can see that on my Facebook. I have one that goes with me just about everywhere. And there's definitely a need for more boarding facilities, without a doubt. I will say, however, I will have to disagree with many of the points, mainly because they don't fall in line to Commissioner Godwin's point with our comprehensive land use plan. And one of the biggest things that we've talked about in our goals is not having so much spot zoning around the county, which then just creates more zoning out of compliance with what we're trying to do. And you know, I commend anyone having an in-home business, but I think once you go to expand and grow, you really need to go to a commercial park where it is more suited for that expansion and growth, unfortunately. And I do have concerns, just based on what I do in my day job, on the effect it would have to the neighboring property values.
Question. Yes. I mean, call the question.
Well, I'm going to let everybody speak before I call the questions. So.
Well,
Mr. Sobo.
I was on the fence about this, I guess, up until tonight, because what we're deciding here is not a referendum on the quality of business plan or the value of the business itself to the community, as well not does it fit in here relative to the stipulated land use of this area. And we've already determined that it does not under our land use plan. But we had talked about, well, can we do some things different that reorient the site to change so it didn't have to share that access easement. I hadn't heard anybody speak against it until tonight, when the folks who live across from it came in and said basically that, you know, they felt like it was going to disrupt their quiet enjoyment of their property. And that carries weight with me, because, you know, they said that is their lifelong home, and they intend to stay there. And if it's not something that the land plan envisions would be appropriate there, then making that exception really just, it takes their considerations off the table. And again, this is not a referendum on how good you run your business, or the need for the business. It has to be, does it fit in with the character of the neighborhood and the other type of land uses that are there? And to me, that's a deciding factor.
Mr. Chairman, you know, I think it's not a decision whether you like dogs or not. I mean, I appreciate everybody's input. I love dogs too. You know, I don't know if that has anything to do with anything.
We know how you feel about cats.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I'm a cat guy myself. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, what it really boils down to is that, and I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I applaud your efforts to do that. But sometimes there's great ideas, but just the wrong location. I mean, I really think that's what it boils down to. And Mr. Stovall, in my notes, I had put quiet enjoyment of their property. I mean, I think that's what really, you know, I'm a property rights person. I think that if you own that property, you should be able to do about what you want to with it until it starts affecting somebody else. And then I think that's where you have to stop and say, maybe this is a great idea, but just not the right location. And I think that's where we are with this. I think the business model sounds great, and I think that, everybody has attested to the fact that you do a great job with what you're doing and that it's a need for the county. But I think there's also that quiet enjoyment of their property part that we have to take into consideration. So I'll stop with that.
And I'll just add, for me, that we've got two things: the public interest and in accordance with our land use plan. And I would say the need is there. It's in the public interest. The part that is an issue tonight, particularly with the plan that we have in front of us to deal with, we don't have what might be. We have what's on paper tonight, and I don't see that complying with our land use plan and for a lot of the issues that the neighbors had brought up, mainly with safety, also with the peace and quiet. And again, it's definitely not a referendum on the business in any way. So that was my 2 cents, is based on what's in front of us tonight. I'm going to have to vote for denial myself. So, all right. With that said, and no other comments, all in favor of the motion to deny, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Thank you all.
Unfortunately, I don't feel like we got any winners tonight.
No. That's right. All right, next up, we have an update on Quick Ride from our JCATs Executive Director, Josh Johnston.
Good evening. Yeah, when my previous situation became solved, I decided I hadn't spoken to you for a while, so I would just catch you up on some things that are happening. And I will take your advice from the other day, Mr. Chair, and I'll do a full-blown presentation after the first of the year.
Okay, that sounds great.
So we did have another great year with Quick Ride. Even with being shut down for 6 days because of the snow, we did over 18,000 rides, which was 2,000 more than the prior year. So it's we are still continuing to get the word out there and grow. And I've also talked about previously some of the technology grants that we're working on. Specifically, we have a 3-year, $300,000 grant with a company that's helping us work on microtransit technology. One of the things that we had when Quick Ride first started up was we did have the app that you could load a ride, but we had to hand out business cards explaining people how to download it because the app was named after our software company. This spring, we went live with an app that says JCATs. So if you go in the Apple Store or type in JCATs, you will find it. So that's one thing that's we're moving it forward. And then we also continuing to work on some geofencing technology as well as some trip segmentation technology, so that with the long-term vision of trying to make microtransit regional. So we could go to Wake County, they could take it, and we can figure out how to split the cost of that. As far as Go Raleigh and JCATs and Campo, the person working on our interlocal agreement was out with COVID. I believe she's back this week, so I'm hoping that we get that agreement in place. That agreement will help, well, to back up a second, the Federal Transportation Administration finally determined after a year that CSS JCATs could not be a direct recipient of federal funds. So we are working in the short term with Go Raleigh to pull those funds down. So in the short term, we'll be a sub-recipient of Go Raleigh. We have $930,000 of prior year money that hasn't been allocated yet. $950,000 for this year. Now, fortunately, that money rolls over for up to 5 years, so we're not out the money. So when we are able to start accessing that money, we'll start with the old money first, and then start.
Will you fully realize the total value of that through that mechanism?
Yep, I presented, in the spring, I presented the town of Clayton and Mr. Hester, a proposed budget of how that's gonna look because the matches are gonna vary. The matches vary from 10% for an ADA accessible vehicle up to 50% for operating. And Clayton is going to share in that cost. As far as our growth, after some delays, our gas expansion vehicles have been ordered. Now, unfortunately, for supply chain things, the vehicles I ordered last December haven't shown up yet. But we do have, and the vehicles I ordered last December are replacement vehicles for our existing fleet. The 5 that I just ordered are expansion. We are growing our fleet. That same agreement with Go Raleigh will also allow me to finally purchase the 5 electric vehicles that we were awarded. Those, the monies were shifted from federal highway funds to Department of Transportation, and they put it into the pool of money I can't access directly. So Go Raleigh is going to help us with that. So then that will give us 10 expansion vehicles for something desperately needed, because our number of trips that we have provided has increased by 30% in the last 2 years. We've gone from 99,000 up to 125,000, and we're trending already to 130 this year. So we are busy. And the last thing I'll share with you is, been working with Clayton. We are going to be commissioning not a feasibility study, but a specific microtransit study for Clayton to determine what the scope of the service needs to be over there. Just with the different demographics, income, number of 2 vehicle households versus 0 to 1 here. There needs to be a study. Is it 5 vehicles like it is here? Is it 7? Is it 3? We don't know. So we're going to commission a study to answer those questions. So with that, it's well into the evening, so I will get out of your, let your meeting go on unless you have some specific questions.
I got a couple of questions.
Good question.
Electric vehicles, you have the ability to, the infrastructure to.
With the construction that we just finished phase 2 construction at JCATs, and 3 level 3 chargers were included in that construction. We also have a number of level 1 chargers on site.
The nature of your rides can accommodate the.
Yes. So the vision is, when we are able to expand microtransit to Clayton, the electric vehicles will be based here because we have the infrastructure locally to handle that. Then our gas quick ride vehicles will be moved over to Clayton.
About how many trips a day are y'all doing right now?
In total, around 400.
Okay. And then about how many employees do you have?
We have 40-some drivers and about
Oh, wow.
handful of support staff.
That's awesome. Okay.
I have to think about it a second because we share some staff with community senior services, so I got to get it in my, so I have the total for both in my head, but first thing.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Jensen? All right, thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about your Vikings last night.
All right, next up, we have Open Space Fund Grant Cycle, and Mr. Adrian O'Neill is here to present to us on that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We would like to request that we be able to open up our open space grant cycle. Again, this will be the 3rd one that we've done. In the past, we've granted about $1.3 million through the last 2 cycles, and we've got in the open space fund right now, we've got a little over $2 million. We are also proposing that there be a small change in the grant process, and that is to increase the match from the partner groups and towns from 5% to 25%. Reason being that we feel like it will encourage some larger projects and go after the type of project that was specified in the legislation, which is a capital project or a land purchase. And with that, we would open up the grant cycle October 1st, and it will be open through the end of October, with the attempt of getting the grants approved and awarded by the end of the year.
Could you describe that grant process a little bit in the districts and all that, so for the public that's watching will understand what we're talking about?
The open space funds are accumulated through a fee and lieu program. The developers in the county, when they propose a subdivision, they have the choice of setting 15% of the land aside as open space or putting an amount per lot aside in the open space fund. And that money is to be used for localized opportunities for land or development of recreation or open space in that area. And the way our county has decided to distribute those funds is based on the high school districts. If it's taken into that high school district, it's used in that high school district. We do have about 33% of the funding that comes in and is reserved for larger county projects. So we have that money set aside. We do have most of it already allocated for other projects at this time.
So is the 2 million you mentioned, is that available for this? It's not a third, or is a third of that set aside for county?
The third is on top of that.
Okay.
So we have about roughly $3 million in that fund right now.
How does it compare to previous pools?
It's gone up a little bit because we have increased the amount per lot in recent years, but it takes about 2 years for us to see that increase come into effect because development is behind approval of development most of the time, and it comes with the lot actually being deeded.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Do I hear a motion?
Yes, sir. Chairman, I'll move to approve the opening of the Open Space Fund grant cycle from October 1st through October 31st and change the match from 5% to 25%.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you, sir.
So keeping with the Parks and Open Space theme, Austin Cross is here to present to us on a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In late August, about 2 weeks ago, we received a award from the state. That would be the Land and Water Conservation Fund. With that, it was going towards the Johnston County Regional Park Phase 1 construction. Like I said, it's about $500,000, and we have a $500,000 match, which we'll be using the 2023 Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant that we received to match them together. The funds can be used as of October 1st, and with that, we'd like to move forward with accepting the award and get your permission to execute the contract. Do I have any questions on that?
Any questions for Mr. Cross?
Is the construction and what all is included of the park Phase 1 on the website?
Yes.
For what people can see what it includes?
Yes, we've been keeping it updated.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
And what level of completion will this bring Phase 1 to if we approve this?
With existing funds on top of it, or just this one in particular?
No, overall.
We'd be at probably about 75% funding with this. So you would add the $500,000 on top of what we already have through other grants.
Okay.
With the open space funds as well.
All right, any other questions?
I make a motion to accept the award and execute the grant contract.
Second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Keep up good work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Great job.
All right, the next item is an exercise an option to purchase agreement on Courthouse Associates LLC. Our council, Ms. Slusser is here to present to us on that.
Yes, thank you. Tonight, I'm asking you to consider exercising an option to purchase on what is known as the Mast Building, which is adjacent to this courthouse facility. When you were together in March, you put together your capital facilities planning rank for necessary improvements for Johnston County facilities. And the judicial facilities came in at number 2 on that list. And I'm not sure if it's all been put together yet, but earlier in this meeting, you approved some courtroom renovations on the consent agenda, some design work for courtroom renovations earlier in the meeting to move forward those judicial facility improvements that you ranked as your number 2 priority. This particular purchase is in furtherance of that number 2 priority. You entered into the option to purchase agreement on May the 5th of this year. All of the due diligence is complete and everything came back fine with that. We have to exercise the option if we're going to move forward with the purchase by September the 30th, and then we would close on the property by December the 30th. And just to refresh your recollection on those terms, the option exercise fee is $30,000, and which would be applied towards the purchase price, and the total purchase price for the property was $1 million. And I think that that's all been accounted for in your planning and those sorts of things as we've been talking about these facilities. And so I respectfully request that you allow, you approve this exercise of this option and allow us to move forward with closing.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Slusser?
Our discovery so far has not found any negative that would preclude us from going forward.
No, sir. No, sir. And that's been reviewed by both Mr. Daniel Clifton and our external consultants. So
Mr. Chairman,
no issues.
I move to approve exercising the option to purchase as discussed.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? And I would just say that it's much needed. We've had a chance to speak to Judge Locke and Judge Wood and express their concerns. And I know recently, I think unprecedented under Judge Locke, where they had to use the same courtroom to try 2 different cases. I know they're in here now on occasion, so the courtroom space is much needed, and I'm glad we're taking a step forward to.
They've been very patient so far.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. So, all right, any other comments?
I would just say some things that we do are maybe somewhat discretionary, but I don't feel like this is at all. This is not discretionary. This is mandated.
Yes, yes. All right, any other comments? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. All right, Ms. Slusser, you have another item, option to purchase agreement, Johnson Estate Road in Clayton.
I do, yes, sir. So Johnston County has been working with Johnston Community College to identify some sites that might be appropriate for future community college expansion in western Johnston County. And we have identified, it's actually 2 tracks. I described it initially as 1 track, but I learned that there was a parcel split for purposes of splitting out a residence, and the seller is interested in including that in the purchase. So I had put in your agenda request 50.35 acre tract for 1 parcel. If you could pull that up for me, Susie. You see the little cutout? Yes, thank you. See this right here?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And this was originally 1 parent tract. It was split, and for purposes of that being residential and this being potential development property, and the seller is willing to sell this little tract plus the big tract. So the total acreage that we're talking about, based on the information we have right now, is 51.73 acres. So just a little bit bigger than what I had described. And we're talking about both tract 1 and what's described as tract 2 in the plat. So these 2 tracts. In talking with the seller, what he is willing to do, well, what they are willing to do, Mr. and Mrs. Coates, for Johnston County for purposes of this transaction is to sell this property for $125,000 an acre. For Johnston County, that would be contingent upon all due diligence being completed to our satisfaction, so that we know that it can be used for the purposes in which we intend to use it, and that we're able to get suitable access to the property from both Johnson Estate Road and from, let's see, right through Spring Branch, see that? Yeah, right there. And so the goal would be to be able to get ingress, egress utilities to the site, because obviously if we can't do that, then it's not beneficial. Now, I will say that there are not immediate plans to build a community college in western Johnston County, but we recognize with the price of land and all of the things that go with that, that it would be in the county's best interest to go ahead and get this property and plan for the future, and roll all of that into your big picture plans as moving forward. The purchase price would be dependent upon gross acreage. We would have to get it surveyed to be sure what that is, but assuming that it's the 51.73 acres, that would be $6,466,250. Now, I will say that the due diligence period on this, as proposed by the seller, is tight. And we're talking about a due diligence period that expires October the 21st of '25. And so, assuming that the board approves us to move forward in getting an option on this property, we are prepared to have contractors out to start that due diligence immediately. So that can move forward. And then closing would need to take place by October the 30th. What I'm asking that you do, if you decide that this is the direction that you want to go, is to allow us to enter into and execute an option to purchase contract for the property at a price of $125,000 per acre, not materially inconsistent with what I have described. And so it would be very similar, the document would be very similar to the document that you did with the mast building. And we would bring this back to you to decide whether or not you wanted to exercise the option at the October 20th board meeting. But that would be the plan if you decided to move forward. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about that. And Dr. Lindquist is here as well if you have any questions for him.
Any questions?
I think it'd be great to notate, even though there's not a specific plan for the college, this was something that we identified, as you said, as a place for the college, and it's identified on our comprehensive land use plan as where we know that the growth is going. And this is going to be perfect to hopefully have additional workforce development centers for our medical training facilities.
Yes, the proximity to the hospital is one of the things that made this property extraordinarily attractive for the programs that the community college offers.
Yeah, I would say that there has been a master plan done, so it wasn't, so there has been a master plan done. Healthcare in this area was identified as the primary area, and I don't know, Dr. Lindquist, if you want to stand up and talk about that a little bit, about a little bit about the master plan and what that campus, the vision for that is as we stand here today.
I'll be happy to. Please, you should note that I did not bring my hat up with me.
I was wondering where it was.
No, the master plan that we completed a couple of years ago outlines the growth that we're going to have in the workforce in the county, but especially in healthcare. I will note for you, and I'll come back later with a more detailed presentation, just where we are so far. But since 2021, the curriculum, so the regular college, not the continuing ed part of Johnston Community College, is again at record numbers. And since 21, we have increased 61%. So I think that the growth is tremendous. It's going to continue. And as big as that number is, the numbers that we get in our continuing ed dwarf that. So we had 14,000 continuing ed students last year, and I don't know how many we're going to have this year, but it's going to going to be many, many more. So for us to be able to meet the needs that we're going to have, to educate, especially the healthcare, but also just the other things that we need to do, this is going to be really essential for us to have this land for us in the future.
All right.
I rode around behind the hospital this week, and it's pretty close back there.
Well, I think that area is growing dramatically as the hospital continues to grow and the physicians' offices and all that. It becomes more and more imperative that we move forward. We can get something to hold on to, because the college, with the healthcare parts that you're proposing that are in your master plan, and with the possibility of a virtual hospital and things like that, I mean, it makes perfect sense to be located on that, right next to the hospital there. That'd be a perfect location.
I absolutely agree. I think the synergies being close to the hospital are going to be pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and I will add, the Copper District has started work today on some of the infrastructure for that development on the other, well, technically it's for all the development, but it is on the other side of Veterans Parkway there. So that started today, so things are starting to happen there. And I will say, changing gears a little bit to Four Oaks, we do have a ribbon cutting, if you want to mention that while you're
September 26th, so next week. It's going to be a big party. Don't miss it. It's a great facility. If you haven't seen it yet, you are going to be wowed.
It's very nice.
You're talking about our Four Oaks Advanced Manufacturing, Training Center. Yes.
I'm going to have to remember that whole long name.
Yes, yes.
You ready for a motion, sir?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve entering into and executing the option to purchase agreement.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, next up, we have Ms. Lester again to present to us on Isaiah 117 House Memorandum of Understanding.
Yes, it is my honor and privilege to present to you the Memorandum of Understanding between Isaiah 117 House and Johnston County on behalf of the Johnston County Department of Social Services. This quite literally has been a labor of love for all that are involved in this project. We first started working on this project in 2024, and I started getting involved more heavily in September of 2024. And so we started talking about an MOU in September of 2024, and then you approved a letter of support in October of 2024 for this project. And since that time, the representatives of Isaiah House and Johnston County have been working extraordinarily hard to bring this project to fruition in Johnston County. We have some guests with us tonight. Ms. Susan Watson is here. She's our chair of the Department of Social Services, and also Ms. Christine Dowdell is here, who is the director of our social services. Randa Gay could not be with us tonight. She's with Isaiah 117 House. She had a prior commitment that she could not make, but I do want to say hello to Julie Dixon. She is watching online, and she wishes that she could be here, but given her location in Tennessee, it was not possible for her to make it with us tonight. But this memorandum of understanding provides temporary transitional space for Department of Social Services employees to serve custodial children that are waiting foster care placement in a child-friendly and child-safe environment. And the other thing about this project that it offers that we're very excited about is the possibility of using this place for Johnston County Department of Social Services to provide supervised visitation between children and their families. And we are very excited about this project. It is the first one in Johnston County, or excuse me, in North Carolina. And Johnston County had the honor of being selected as the pilot county. I understand that there are several counties that are now in the works for one of these projects, and I'm just so grateful for the stakeholders that have worked so hard on this. I've talked about Randa and Julie, but we can't forget the town of Selma because they donated the property in which this home is currently being built. And of course, we've also got some additional Johnston County staff that have worked extraordinarily hard on this project besides Ms. Dowdell, and that's Teresa Carter, Marie Coates, and Maria Marta Conrad. But most importantly, I think we need to recognize the community stakeholders that have participated and built this house, because without their support and their donations, this would not have been possible. And with that, I respectfully request that you approve the memorandum of understanding. We hear keys are going to be delivered really soon, and we'd like to get up and running. Of course, once the keys are delivered, there will be an orientation time to make sure that training is appropriately done and all of those sorts of things. And Isaiah House has worked extraordinarily hard in moving all of that forward, and we hope that before too long, while we wish there was never a need for this home, that we have the opportunity to have a place that is a safe environment for our most vulnerable citizens of Johnston County. So I respectfully request your approval. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
That's right. I do have a couple of comments, if that's all right. I would also want to thank Ms. Slusser for her work on this. She has really put the time in, and it really has been a community effort. The town of Selma, the county folks, all the legal team, and Ms. Dowdell and her team, and all the Isaiah 117 house. There's been a lot of conversations, a lot of people working together to make this come to fruition, and we're excited about it. It's really going to be a great benefit to the children that are going through the foster care program or have to be in that environment. We just think it's going to be a great benefit to us. And I think there'll be many more around North Carolina that Johnston County happens to be the first, and we're excited about that. So very appreciative of all the work that's gone in, and I'm happy to make that motion when you're ready.
You were talking, so I'm saying you go right ahead.
All right, I'll go right ahead then. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the memorandum of understanding between Isaiah 117 House and Johnston County.
Second.
All right, any other discussion?
I was just going to echo a thank you to all the staff and community staff and supporters and everybody. It's just been really exciting. I was fortunate to be on a call with all the stakeholders as we were trying to figure out the logistics last week, and it's really exciting to be able to see it actually come into fruition. So it's going to be a great asset to Johnston County and serve all those individuals that it's going to be there for, and I'm excited.
Any other comments? I'm just going to say 4 words. You can probably guess. Visionary, compassionate, responsive, and empowering. And that's what everybody involved in this to make it happen. There's a need, and we've reacted, and I'm looking forward to, like I said, seeing some keys delivered.
And thanks to Susan Watson for all of her assistance.
Yes. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Thank you.
Motion carries. All right, next up, we have Mr. Newton back to present.
He's been very patient.
Yes, on our comprehensive transportation plan.
Chris.
Chris, go get some dinner now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Board, once
You've
again.
entered the room.
So what we have, I'll just recap. This is related to the Comprehensive Transportation Plan, which we've worked on for quite some time with a consultant, McAdams Company. So previously, a previous meeting, we did conduct a public hearing, and you did see a presentation as to the key points of the plan, specifically related to some land use policy that will be incorporated into our Unified Development Ordinance upon its completion. With that, we have held open the plan for public comment, and it's been posted on our website for now quite some time in its full draft. We have received some small amounts of comments. Most of those have been regarding transit and specifically rail, meaning passenger rail. We heard from a couple of individuals who are in the industry within the community, and we have also sent that plan, or had that plan reviewed by Mr. Scott Saylor, who has been assisting the county in initiatives to bring passenger rail to Johnston County or through Johnston County with stops therein. And he does offer some comments as well. I'll place those at each of your seats. There are 8 total, most of which are just changes to specific items with regard to terminology. I think the most significant would be the first in that list. And it just wanted to add, it's on page 27, he just wanted to add or recommended adding some language, and you'll see that bolded, it's in bold in that final paragraph, or in that paragraph, and that is to add the east / or -west Amtrak service route between Raleigh and Selma is one of the longest segments of Amtrak service in the state without intermediate station. So what this does is, one, it positions us better with regard to establishing, for lack of a better term, an argument or a basis for Johnston County to have an additional rail station within the county in this leg for the purposes of interpassenger rail or intercity passenger rail. I think the other more largely significant change or recommended change is on the second page. That would be item number 6. It's noted in page 95, and is with regard to the STIP map, and that is the state's improvement program, or their improvement program that is adopted on every year, and that's on a 10-year plan for improvement. And he just makes note there about the comment, just had some comments for us with regard to this being a regional or versus a statewide labeling. He found that to be a little interesting, and he thinks he understands the reason, once again, for the STIP purposes. For spot reasons, Clayton Station may not be optimal for some purposes as statewide. That he's not 100% certain about as well, and you'll see his comments to follow there as well. There's also a comment in here about expanding, and it's number 2 page, on the first page. He notes page 47, the map, and we do show a very specific location for an intermediate station in Johnston County in the Clayton area, specifically in that Powhatan Road area. He does suggest kind of widening that location, or that bubble, if you want to call it that, a little more, offers a little more flexibility in calling it the Clayton area or that area of the county, as opposed to being not being quite so specific. This gives us much more flexibility with regard to the needs and the desires, not only of the county, but of the region as well. Of course, this would be a statewide, and for us, a regional rail system. We want to make sure we offer ourselves the most flexibility as possible. So those are the only items that we feel, these are the only items that we feel would really need to be addressed. And like I said, the majority of those, the others are specifically terminology, as opposed to commuter rail using passenger rail. Commuter rail was, or has been, that term. It is quickly moving to an intercity or passenger rail. So we want to make sure we address those. But with that, I'm glad to take any questions or any comments you may have.
All right, any questions for Mr. Newton?
If we take positive action on this tonight, should we, within that action, incorporate these changes?
That would be the recommendation of staff, yes, sir.
All right, any comments?
I hope the general public understands that we don't build roads, but of course, wherever we can, we try to influence what happens within the transportation system with Campo and with Upper Coastal Plain RPO. So, you know, you and I are involved in that, and you and him, I think, involved in Campo. So
we are extremely fortunate. It seems odd to be in a county that's kind of split between 2 different organizations, such as Campo and the Upper Coastal Plain. However, it's extremely, we're just really fortunate there. They work very closely together. They work together to ensure that the region and Johnston County specifically attains its goals with regard to transportation, multimodal transportation projects in the county. We had a call with Campo today, and it was mentioned we're working with the RPO or Upper Coastal Plain as well on some initiative there. So it's a very collaborative environment, and we appreciate that, and we value that greatly.
And of course, this is a key component of what we need to have in place to get any kind of consideration from federal and state bodies.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is, you have to have a plan before you can go forward and look for other funding, so that we've got the base for the plan. And it's been 14 years since we've updated it, so we've got that. And I will say, it is just, as a forward-looking plan, it's not gonna happen tomorrow, and this is for the next 20 to 30 years that we're looking out and planning for. So it is definitely a forward-looking document, and that we'll probably need to look at in about 5 years to make sure we're updated and staying current. But,
You ready for some action?
yeah, I was gonna say, there's a lot of folks that participated in the process. If you're looking at the front of it, I think it was over 3,000 folks who responded, and I don't know how many said came to the meetings, but a lot of interaction with the public on it. So, but yes, I'm ready for some action.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the proposed comprehensive transportation plan with the incorporation of Scott Saylor's terminology changes.
Second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to manager report and comments. And, all right, Ms. Slusser.
Thank you for the opportunity to present this to you tonight. I've prepared for you a resolution by the Johnston County Board of Commissioners authorizing the execution of opioid settlements with secondary opioid manufacturers, Purdue Pharma, LP, and the Sackler family, and approving the third supplemental agreement for additional funds between the state of North Carolina and local governments on the opioid litigation settlements. As you may recall, the Purdue Pharma settled some time ago. There was a bankruptcy, and now this is the result of all of the work that came from that. The Purdue Pharma settlement, Johnston County is expected to get approximately $1.5 million. The deadline to opt in to receive this money as part of that agreement is September the 30th. For the secondary opioid manufacturers, that's going to be around $247,000, and the deadline for that is October the 8th. And because of those deadlines, that is why we are asking you to do this tonight during manager comments, so we do not miss out on this opportunity. I had the opportunity to talk with Dr. Pearson and with Steve Strickland in the health department, and of course you have empowered them with the responsibility of implementing the high-impact opioid abatement strategies to mitigate this public health crisis. And so this money would be used as part of those strategies to the extent that we receive it. And I would respectfully request that you adopt the resolution.
So you need do you need a motion?
Yes, please.
So moved. I make a motion to approve and authorize the execution of opioid settlements.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. All right, next up, we had board reports and comments, and Commissioner Godwin, I'm going to start with you, and we're going to loop back around this way.
All right, I got a couple of things. Monday night, Tuesday, this past Tuesday evening, the Microtown Board had a ribbon cutting at their community building. Community building's been there for a lot of decades, but it was falling in disrepair, and they undertook a plan a couple of years ago to redo it, and we participated some in helping out with that project, and got a real nice facility in Micro now. It has some good turnout and a good ribbon cutting. Our county manager was there with me as well. Another thing is we talked about the Isaiah House earlier. I was at the behavioral health resource fair this past Friday morning over at the health department. Very good. I was there for a while, in and out, and but had a lot of participation, and the Isaiah House was there. They were represented, as well as DSS and a lot of just a lot of facilities I didn't even know existed. So I hope our folks in need of those resources were able to get out and participate and find out that information. And the last thing I'll mention is really for the public input. 4 or 5 years ago, every year since I think 1999, Adrian, you may know something about this. A group is called Cycle NC. They travel from the mountains to the coast in October. It's about a week-long ride. Goes through different communities. We had they've been here in Smithfield to spend the night. I think at it near the college, and that time they had a breakfast or a rest stop in Micro, and I assisted in that. I got a contact today from a fellow that puts that on and says they're coming through Bentonville, the battleground, this year. I think on October the 6th or that week, and they're looking for volunteers. They're short on volunteers. At those rest stops, they go through a line and get water bottles and snacks, and just need people to help facilitate it. So I'm looking for volunteers. I'll be calling out to my biking partners, but also anybody out in the general public that's interested in cycling or assisting in this effort. Just let me know through the county.
All right. Commissioner Stovall.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I've got tonight is that Selma has sent an invitation to the commissioners to join them for a double ribbon cutting on Friday, October the 3rd. One is for the relocation of the Mitchell train station, historic building, and also the Public Works building grand opening is having a ribbon cutting. The first one's at 10, the second one's at 10:30.
All right.
I just had a couple of things. Last Wednesday, the Clayton Chamber put on a First Responders Appreciation Breakfast, and myself and a couple of other of us were there. And it was just a really nice event to be able to honor our first responders and recognize them for what they're doing. And there's a couple other 9/11 events. I was unable to attend those, but I just really appreciate our county stepping up, and our towns and municipalities and the school system for still recognizing everything that happened on that day.
I'll echo a lot of what Commissioner Davis said. And then also just, looking at the list of everything we went down and a lot of things we voted on, I just, wanted to say we really are moving some major balls forward, from our, yeah. I'll pick up where you left off. How about that? We're really moving some major balls forward with the things that we, dedicated as very important issues for the county, very important things that we wanted to accomplish. So I just wanted to say kudos to that fact. I'm very excited about the direction that we're taking things, and I know I continue to say we're not kicking any more cans, but we are really picking up some cans and throwing them in the right direction. So I'll leave it at that.
Commissioner Rhodes.
Last week, there were a lot of events that led to a lot of heavy hearts across the entire country. And last night, I was able to attend a prayer for America that was held right out front of the courthouse. And it showed the need that a lot of people felt to just be together and share their thoughts during this time about how we all need to work together and pray for one another, and even those that we vehemently disagree with. But we did have several tragedies that occurred last week, and of course the commemoration of 24th anniversary of 9/11 that all of us remember. But having said all that, I just wanted to say that, sometimes people come into your lives, whether you know them well or maybe not, maybe just through social media or through television or whatever. But it's my hope that everyone can find voices that will lead to them to be a better person or want to be a better person. And I just want to leave it with one thought that Charlie Kirk mentioned quite often was that you should love everyone. That is absolutely true, but you should also love them enough to tell them the truth. And I think that's something that's left out a lot, that people need to be honest, because we shouldn't lie to those that we love, and And so I just think that that was a great message that I've heard my pastor, Matt Cornett, preach on many times as well. And I just hope that last week's events can make us all in Johnston County, North Carolina, and America just be a little bit more willing to talk to each other.
Very well said.
Vice Chairman Harris.
I'm going to pick up just a little bit where Commissioner Pace Davis and Commissioner Stevens were going down that, and I'm going to take it just a little bit step further. There's a lot of things that this board, and I'm thankful for the citizens and the staff and this board for all looking and being visionary, looking forward. You know, when I think of the list, and I attended the Community Resources Fair at Behavioral Health last Friday too, and it was very well attended. A lot of great programs, a lot of things for people that are in need. And of course, we've also got the Isaiah 117 house that we move forward with today. The community college expansion, that's fantastic. You know, we're a long way from a building, but we're moving in that direction. And so it's visionary to do that. And then the other part that we haven't mentioned tonight is the behavioral health urgent care that is moving forward pretty rapidly. They're still looking for a location, but if you recall, this board included that in this year's budget to go ahead and move forward to partner with Alliance Health to make that available to the citizens. And these are things that really serve the people. And then when you look at the transportation plans and you look at all the other the other plans that we've worked on, some of these plans hadn't been touched in years, and we've picked them up and dusted them off and started working toward revamping those plans and moving them forward and making them serve the people of this county the way they were designed to serve. And so I'm very thankful for all that, and I appreciate everyone's diligent work. A lot of people working a lot of hours to make all this stuff happen, and I'm thankful for it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I guess the thing I want to touch on again is when we talk about our county employees and award-winning, tonight we heard 2 more groups that were recipient of awards for their service, not only to Johnston County, but to others in the Helene disaster relief. So just wanted to mention that and thank all our county employees. Whether other folks recognize that they're award-winning or not, this board recognized that they're award-winning and thank them for all that they do. With that, we do have a need for a closed session. Do not anticipate any action to be taken after that. So Vice Chairman Harris, you have a motion for it?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I move the board go into closed session for the purposes of consulting with an attorney employed by the board in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of going into closed session for the reasons stated, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We will go into closed session for a minute to clear the boardroom, and thank all of those who are watching tonight. Have a good evening.